Hey BFFs, I want to personally invite you to BeFreeInnerCircle.com, your community for real sisterhood where women are showing up and doing the work. Whether you're still trying to figure out what you want to be when you grow up, or you need accountability to keep pushing forward to reach your goals, the Be Free Inner Circle is the community for you. You can expect curated content that will support you on becoming the best version of yourself, live office hours and Q&A sessions where we chat about things like overcoming self-doubt, building your confidence, practicing self-care without guilt, and so much more. Virtual live events from book clubs and workshops with guest speakers, and a supportive and active community of women that will encourage you, hold you accountable, cheer you on, and give you honest feedback and advice. It's the perfect place to be for women who are ready to show up, flourish, and be free. Join today at BeFreeInnerCircle.com. Hey, welcome back to the Girl Be Free podcast. I'm your host, Siobhan, where I'm going to inspire and motivate you to show up for yourself. So this week we are having another Chasing Free series, and this is where I will interview women who are living in purpose, pursuing her dreams, and unapologetically showing up for herself. Now, she can be an entrepreneur in corporate America, a blogger, a mother, a partner, an artist, or even a hairstylist, you name it. She's simply a woman who is committed to becoming the best version of herself, and she's doing the work in order to be free. Now, she's doing the darn thing. Now, she may not be perfect. She has flaws, but she's committed to her journey and willing to share her experience to inspire others. So today I'm interviewing my friend, Dawn Rivers, founder of Daybreak Yoga. Now, her yoga journey began in 1999 when she bought a Rodney Yee VHS yoga video. She would practice yoga in her basement as a way to bring fitness and stress relief into her life. Many years later, she decided to become a yoga teacher. She completed her 200-hour yoga teacher training in 2013 and her 500-hour yoga teacher certification with Faith Hunter at Embrace Yoga DC in 2019. She opened the Daybreak Yoga Studio in 2018 and has a mentorship program, an online course called The Business of Yoga that is launching November 2019 and will begin her own school to train other yoga teachers in January 2020. Girl Be Free listeners, help me welcome Dawn to the podcast. Yay! Right, I'm so excited to have you on. So thank you, Dawn, for taking the time to hop on with me today. This is going to be a really great conversation with you and I, so I'm excited.
Thank you. I'm excited too.
Yay. All right. So let's kick it off. And this is what I'm asking everyone. I know I read a little bit in your bio about you getting started, but tell us a little bit more about what inspired you to pursue your dreams and begin creating the life you want.
I'm going to say what started me off was I went to a yoga retreat and it was for women of color. I never thought that yoga retreats were for anybody but a Caucasian woman who is from an affluent background who had time to go away from their family and not have to worry about extra stuff. So I never, in the whole beginning part of my yoga journey, ever went to a yoga retreat. So I want to say this was 2016. It was my birthday weekend. So you know how I do it on my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And I was down in Atlanta actually in Georgia, the mountains of Georgia. And the women in the space were all Black and brown. And the things that they shared about their journey on their yoga path changed my whole trajectory. Because I was teaching yoga, I had my own space that I rented at a martial arts studio in Lyndhurst. So when I went to this yoga retreat and the women were talking about being othered and feeling like they weren't a part of the regular system until they found other places to connect, I was like, that's probably the same thing that's going on here in Cleveland. So I decided to change my focus and direction and what I wanted to bring to our community. And the more that I did that, the more people started to come. And it was so interesting because I met you there and met some other people. Hundreds of people have come through my doors that they have said I have helped them feel connected, helped them feel stress release, helped them feel better about themselves. And I was like, cool, I'm doing the right thing. So from the rented space to taking a leap of faith to opening up the studio was all because I went to this retreat and saw the impact of being in a safe space with other women of color to share and to release, I was like, it's needed. And so that's pretty much why and
And I
how.
remember, I remember the first day that I met you. Did we say it was December 2017? Or it wasn't last year, so it was a year before last. And I had been to several yoga studios before and felt very awkward, very uncomfortable because I was the only person of color. And it was
Mhm.
very uncomfortable. And so when I walked into your space and saw women that looked like me that were practicing yoga, all different sizes and shapes and all that jazz, like I felt like home. That's exactly what I felt like. And I wanted to see more of that. And so, as soon as I got home, I sent that email to you and the rest is history. So I'm
Yeah.
so glad that you you were inspired by something, you took a leap of faith and created this space so that women of color can have a space that they can practice yoga and not feel like an outcast. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, it's a continuous reminder for me that the more that I don't know, teach yoga, that I have to remember the beginnings, that folks,
Mhm.
there are always new people that come, or somebody who's come 2, 3, 4 times. She's still new to this practice and she's still finding her way. And um, so I have to do what I can to make her feel comfortable, to feel at home, and reassure her that no one's going to laugh, no one's going to ridicule, no one's going to correct you, no one's going to other you, which has happened in other spaces here in Cleveland and definitely around the world, where people who are either brown skin or bigger bodies or not athletic build or whatever, they come into these spaces and sometimes people will move their mats away or ask them in a condescending way, have you done yoga before? Or um, maybe you need to use the wall. All these different things to make them feel isolated. And I tell them, get all the props that you need. You can go to the wall or not to the wall. If you want me to assist you, I can. If not, just say, nope, hands off. And this is your practice. So I want them to feel empowered every time they come. And so they can take these same tools home and use it if they can't come to the studio. And then they can tell their family and friends that this yoga practice has helped them reduce their stress, has helped them breathe deeper, has helped them physically get more fit. I mean, your heart rate goes down, anxiety goes down. Stress and anxiety are connected and correlated to cancer. So if we bring all of that down, the risk of cancer can go down. Diabetes can be reversed. Heart disease can be reversed. It can affect and help your ligaments, your tendons, your joints, all these things that just everyday life, when we eat improperly, when we don't move, when we're spending too much time in front of a screen, when we're not connecting with people, it reduces our quality of life. And I feel like yoga can be a way to help people to reconnect to their true self.
Mhm. I love that. All right. So, how does your business align with your purpose in life?
Well, I didn't realize it, but I was a school librarian for 20 years. And before that, for 5 years, I was a public librarian. The whole thing that changed for me was access to information. I felt that as people of color, we were second, third hand researchers. We didn't necessarily go research on our own, go to the library. We would take other people's advice or listen to what they had to say on a situation. And so when I was in this class, and I talk about this sometimes in the studio. When I was in this class, um, this teacher said, you need to go to the library and find some books. And I had to read, I don't know, 10 or 12 like kids' books. And so I was a single parent, took my daughter, and I was like, wait a minute, wow, this library is pretty cool. It changed my whole thought process because I learned how to do things I never knew. And I was like, I've got to share this with other people of color,
Mhm.
especially young people, boys and girls. And so the same idea of sharing resources and information is there in my studio. If I learn more about the chakras or energy or certain yoga poses to help release certain things or to build up certain parts of the body, I share that. At our studio, we have a little library where people can borrow and
Which
return.
I love, which I love.
So it's that purpose is still there,
Mhm.
giving information to people of color. Before it was a library, but it's still learning how to use that information to make better choices in your life.
Hmm. That's so good. That's so rich for my soul. And you know me, I love sharing too. So I mean, I feel like we connect on so many different levels. Specific, you know, with the reading, loving to read and all that jazz. But like sharing information that everybody doesn't have access to, whether and that could be for a multiple of different reasons, right? But being that resource where they know when they come to Daybreak Yoga, they not only are going to practice yoga and be amongst people that look like them, but then also have these resources that they can take home with them to continue to work on their personal growth journey. And, you know, that's what I'm all about. So
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
So, what do you enjoy most about living on your own terms? So, and let's specifically say, like, because you just recently quit your job, right?
I
And so
did.
now you are a full-time entrepreneur with your own brick and mortar. So, what do you enjoy most about
I love going to my studio.
that? Mm.
It brings me so much joy to open up the door, to walk in the space, to look around at the pink walls. I call it the pink palace. To turn on the diffusers, to light the incense, to get the space ready for other people to come in and have that energy affect them like it does me. And so usually I have a class in the morning and then I work from 11 to 2. And I usually stay at the studio and I work. And so being in my space where it's quiet, it's comfortable, the energy is just right, the aromatherapy is speaking to my soul, I'm able to be more productive there. Distractions are few and little. And I make my own choices. I mean, I make my own hours.
Yes.
It's all me, you know, it's like,
Yes.
it's my, yeah, if I want to have a meeting today, I can. If I want to do yoga nidra, where I'm working on my like restorative practice and connecting with my theta waves, then I can do that. If I want to make a video, I can do that. It's freedom to do what I want when I want in my space. So it's
Mm-hmm.
different for me than going home, because when I go home, there's always distractions, laundry, or I live with my mom, so doing things with her or making food or sitting down and watching TV.
Right. Yeah.
But if I go to my studio, that that's the best. That's the best. I love it. It's a blessing to my life.
It's like your sacred space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Yes.
is
Yes.
my sacred space.
So describe an aha moment.
Well, I want to say one of the aha moments for me was I was talking to another fitness person. It was almost 3 years ago, and I was struggling, trying to decide if I wanted to do this journey. And she was like, "Well, you either have to love being an entrepreneur or not." And I was like, "I don't know if I do." I was
Right.
like, "Woo, I don't know if I do." And it hit me this summer when I knew I was quitting my full time job that I love being an entrepreneur. And I was like, "Oh, yeah, it's been like 3 years from that time this person asked me that question to
Mm.
now." And it is a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. It's learning how to put boundaries on, because when I first started, I had no boundaries. And even when I was on vacation, I'm answering emails and posting and answering texts and taking phone calls and not being separated from my business. And my daughter would say, "Mom, no person is on 24 hours. You know, they have their like out of office hour,
Mhm.
out of office email come up or whatever." She was like, "You don't have to be accessible 24 hours." And I was like panicking on that. So, but I realized from that whole journey of going through this that I love it now. And I didn't
Mm.
think I would. I didn't think I ever would.
And it is definitely a lot of work. I mean, we talk about this all the time. Like, entrepreneurship is not for everybody, and that's totally fine. I think it takes a certain kind of person that wants to put their heart out there every single day.
Yeah.
So, and then I also understand too, like when you are an entrepreneur, especially in the early days, you know, we are always available because we're always trying to figure this thing out, like all the time. And I have to work on that too, like setting boundaries, like, okay, today is your off day.
Yeah.
No matter how much you love your work, you still have to take a break from it. And that is a challenge for me, because I can always think of something to do to move this thing forward. But one of the things that my coach pointed out to me, she said, what did she say? Are the things that you're always doing making you money? And I'm like, no, they're
No,
not. And she was
no.
like,
Then why are you doing it?
why are you doing it? Right. And so then she followed up and said, when you feel like working, because you just feel like you have to be doing something, do those things that you really don't want to do, like work on your systems or work on your budgeting. I'm like, I don't want to do
Oh,
that. I'm like, I do not want to do that. And she was like, I want you to remember that every time you start to work when you're not supposed to be working, when you've already fulfilled your work for the day, and now it's your time to be with your family or just have me time, and you think you want to work, then you need to do some
mhm.
budgeting or you need to work on your systems. And I'm like, well, then I'm not doing nothing.
Not gonna do it.
Right. So I'm sharing that with you too. And I'm sure that you're working better
Thank you.
to like set those healthy boundaries, because we do need a break and we
Yeah.
do need to rest, and we cannot always be accessible to everybody. And sometimes that's even family and friends where you
Oh
really
yeah.
just need your
Oh yeah.
alone time by yourself. So I'm glad that your daughter was able to say that to you.
She did. She's a very wise young woman.
Hmm.
I feel like she did it again. Um, so there's a couple of things that from some podcasts that stood out to me. I have been using my screen time
Me too.
part on my phone, and I didn't realize that was such a thing. So I have set a limit for an hour and a half on social media, and my phone will give me a 5-minute warning, and then it's like, ooh, and it goes. And sometimes I override it because I'm right in the middle of something, or I know I need to go back on later. But more times than not, I stick to what I said, 90 minutes a day, and then you're done. So if somebody messages me tomorrow, I'll see it and I'll come back on tomorrow. So that was one thing. The other, another podcast, they were talking about the hustle and the grind. And I never thought about it the way that they talked. So one of my favorite rappers is T.I., and he talks about hustling. So the hustle is for a specific goal in mind. So if you are launching something, you're going to hustle, hustle, hustle. You're going to work continuously on that until it launches,
Mm,
and then you back off. So the grind is continuous, but it's not at the same pace of push.
mm,
And so I hustle, and then I have to learn to come back,
mhm,
because I can't be in this marathon running pace. No, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't be in the sprint running pace on the marathon. The
mm,
marathon should be a slower pace for me, and that's the grind. That's continuous. But maybe it's like I've got to get to this mark, so I'm going to hustle, 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 then stop.
I like that. I like that a lot. That's good advice too, because the marathon, and that's what this is, right? Nipsey Hustle. The marathon continues, right?
It's all
So
hip hop. It's all hip hop.
yeah, and so we have to embrace it. And it's what I constantly tell like my community is that this is a journey. There's no end to it. Like you're always going to be working
No.
on yourself to get better and to become the best version of yourself. So there's no need to rush this process. It is a journey. So embrace it as that. Now, let's talk about what has been your biggest challenge thus far as being a as being
One.
a full-time business owner. If you want to share multiple, you can.
Okay. um, I'm about to say this one last time, and then I'm never going to say this again.
Okay.
Taking people from curiosity to commitment. And I have said this a lot, and I feel like I've maybe doomed myself by saying it. So that means that people are curious about me. Oh, she's a Black yoga teacher. Oh, let's go see. And they come, and then they don't return. Or
Mhm.
they'll do my new student offer, the 30 days, and they'll be riding hard with me. And then they're like, oh, but I don't really have the money. So it's like, that had plagued me, because I said, why are they so curious, but they're not committing? Because clearly there was something that I gave you in this process when you came during your 30 days. And maybe you came 2-3 times a week. So you were in there.
Mhm.
But did you not see value in my product, my service for you? Was I not connecting somehow to you? And so I'm just going to put that down, because that's been a hard part. And that hard part, I don't want to keep making it grow bigger by feeding the energy
Mhm.
into it, and just focus on the commitment, and focus on learning what works for me with these people. So if service A or service B works better, then maybe I'm going to do less of A and more B, and I'm going to focus on that, and growing. So it's learning to market, it's learning to promote, it's learning to give the story, it's learning to have my authentic voice, it's learning to listen to my customers, it's learning to be okay with feedback, it's learning to step back and pause sometimes. But that was probably the hardest part, is sometimes not taking it personally that people don't come back.
Mhm. Yeah, and we've talked about this several times, how all of this is just trial and error. Trying to figure out, I know. Oh man, but trying to figure out what works for your ideal person. And once you figure that out, repeating that over and over and over again. And then there will be moments where you have to tweak it a
So you know
little
what?
bit. Mhm. Oh no,
Sorry,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was watching this webinar, because I've been doing a lot of webinars and courses lately. And this person, she changed the paradigm. She said, instead of the ideal person, have that one person that
Mhm.
actually does come to your events, to your classes, takes your services, buys your product, and you market to her.
Mhm.
So it's not like a conglomerate of demographics and age and money and all that kind of stuff, but it's like, hey, Siobhan. So every time that I do a post, I'm talking to Siobhan. So,
Yes.
girl, let me tell you. And so it's
Mhm.
personal. And then other people are kind of like eavesdropping, like,
Mhm.
what's she saying to Siobhan? Oh, I want to
Mhm.
know.
I like
So
that. I have
it's
that
more
too.
specific than,
Mhm.
and I know because you've named your person, but she means like a real person that you actually
Oh
connect.
yeah. Oh, I do. I have
Oh,
my
okay.
ideal person. And it's actually one of my coaching clients. And I've told her several times, if I can have 100 of you, life would be perfect. And I'm going to do a whole podcast on this. And I don't know if you and I talked about this, but Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so many people that I've noticed just to have come into my circle, if you will, or not even circle, but maybe the community in some kind of capacity, they're at that basic needs, right? Where they're trying to make sure they have their shelter, their food, and all that
Yeah.
jazz. That's not my ideal client, right? My ideal person who is at the top of the pyramid, where it's self-actualization. So you're in more of this creative space where you're at a certain point in your career or in your life, money isn't an issue, and you're ready to do these creative passion projects, or you're ready to do those things that make your heart sing, and you are ready to take action. That's my type of person. And that is what my client now, like, she's that person, like, whatever it is. And we just worked on this full project with her, where in the beginning it was just an idea, and now it's a tangible thing.
Right.
That's it. But if you are worried about your basic needs, or you don't have love from other people, or just different things, as maybe there's trauma, you need therapy, all that other jazz, you're not going to be in a space where you're ready to take action and show up for yourself in the way that I help my clients. And so if I can
But
have 100 of her, she would be perfect.
but the thing is that I learned, and then we go back to our survival,
Yeah.
we forget that the more that we put emphasis on that, the bigger it will be. So the more
Mm-hmm.
that we're in this scarcity mindset, the
Yes.
more that we are worried about like paying bills and having enough for our children, the more we're going to get that, because our
Absolutely.
hands are closed. You cannot give or receive a gift when your hands are clenched and fists. You have to
Yes.
open them up. I mean, I was just reading in scripture this morning. I'm going all the way back through the New Testament, and reading the sermons of Jesus. And basically, he talks about that. It's like God is trying to give you everything you need, but you have to receive it. And it's like, even a bad parent gives certain things, bad in quotations, give certain things to their children. They will still do it. And so it's like, God, why wouldn't he give you the things that you wanted?
Mm-hmm.
You have to
Yes.
have a heart of gratitude, and you have to be thankful, and you have to
Yes.
be forgiving. So whatever, You forgive those people who have done things towards you. You have to be thankful for what you have, and you have to show gratitude. Because if I were to give you a gift and you're like, oh, well, Dawn, I really wear a size this and this, or like this color better. Do you think I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to continue to give you stuff? Probably
Nope.
not. So
Mm-mm.
if you feel like that, then if it's switched around, how could God, the divine universe,
Yes.
your consciousness give you more? So
Mm-hmm.
if you're holding on to the idea of, I can't come to yoga because I need to do this instead, I know that when there are certain things you want to do, you're going to find money for it and you're going to do
Amen. Amen. I just recorded a whole video about
it.
that, and it's titled Money is Not Your Problem, You Are. Because
Ooh.
people will, girl, it's coming out tomorrow. Well, it'll be before this video, this podcast or whatever. But because people use money as an excuse.
Yes.
We know how to make things happen. Like if you want
Mhm.
something bad enough, you're going to make it happen.
Yep.
But people are quick to say, oh, I don't have enough money. But yet you can go down the street and go to this restaurant and spend however much. You
Hmm.
don't care enough about yourself, and you're not willing to make the commitment to yourself. So then you'll just say you don't have enough money. Get out of here with that. Like I watch tomorrow's
I know
video because I
exactly.
was fired
I
up
will.
about it because I
I will,
hear
and I'll
that.
share.
Yes,
But
please.
also on the other side, the flip side of that same coin, because it's two sides, the head and the tail.
Mm-hmm.
The flip side is that it's work.
Yes.
And
Yes.
work means effort.
Mm-hmm.
And effort costs energy.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you don't want to do those things if it's uncomfortable, because you are, I don't know, you have to stay up later, you have to go further, whatever the work is to do. And I've been there. Sometimes I'm there now, I'm like, I don't feel like it. I don't want to. And so we don't, and we miss out.
Yep.
And so changing the mindset of our communities is that it is worth your effort. It is worth the work for you to do this, to change your life,
Yes.
because it won't change. It'll stay the same. It's the same idea of that closed fist. You're just going to get more of what you already have in your fist. It's not going to
Mm-hmm.
be replaced
Yep.
unless you open it up. You got to let that stuff go so this
Yes.
can come. They can't
And I,
see me. Y'all can't see me, but I have my hands open.
right. And also, people are not ready to give up something. That sacrifice part, right? They're not ready for that. And you have to be honest with yourself. If you're not ready, it's
Yeah.
cool. Just say you're not ready. But to put on this front as if you want your life to change, but you're not willing to put in the work, be honest with yourself. And then another thing, and then we can move on, but another thing that I recently shared on IG is that consistency is hard work.
It
It is
is.
not easy every single day
It is.
to show up and do all these things. But again, when you've been called, number one, when you're in your purpose and you're doing work that you've been called to, you can't, and Nikki and I from Buy From a Black Woman, we talked about this too, like you can't turn it off. It's when it's your calling and you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do, it's like, all right, today may be one of those days, but I don't have a choice because I know that this is my purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah.
I'm going to share this post tomorrow and share it in my newsletter about why I became a yoga teacher and what was going on in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2012, I was going through a divorce, and it was very, very difficult. My ex-husband was unfaithful. We had financial issues. He had substance abuse. There was emotional trauma. There was all kind of stuff. But I worked at this yoga studio as a desk person for 5 years. And this was maybe my second or third year. And I'd practiced there for a long time. And I kept saying, I do want to do yoga teacher training. And they're like, Dawn, we know you're going to be a great teacher. And I was just like, but I can't yet. I can't yet. And they're like, it's okay. We'll be here when you're ready. And then I realized that I had put off my dreams, my desire, because I wanted my life to get better, or, like to fix this issue. And so I was like, I cannot wait for it to get better, because it's not going to unless I make it get better.
Yes.
So I enrolled in the training, and that next year would have been, my divorce was final on December 31st, 2012. And then January, like the first or second weekend in January, I started teacher training. So that would have been 2013. And then in that spring was May, I finished. But I had to do all the things because I didn't get the support from the people that I wanted to have in my immediate circle. And I was like, I can't wait for them. I can't wait for them. I got to do this for me. And it was hard because I had to financially come up with the money. I had to work things out with my own children. I worked at this studio part-time. I had a job full-time, and I was in teacher training 200 hours all during this crunch of time. But I knew that I had to make a change. I had to do something different, and I could not let my desire go one more year without taking action.
Yes. So you were ready to change your life. You
I
were ready to
was.
change. So what keeps you motivated on days when you feel overwhelmed?
So I call it the cheerleaders. So I have my sister circle. I know that's like a different term for different things, but
Mhm.
I have cheerleaders that I reach out to, and some of them are so intuitive, like you, that reach out to me
Mm.
and just check on me. Because sometimes that's all you need is somebody to check
Yes.
on you, maybe to send you a little text, or like in our circles of influence, we share videos like, hey, have you seen this video, or try this podcast, or
Yep.
listen to this song. And because I have done the work of finding real mentors, like
Yes.
today, I was on the phone with one of my mentors from Canada for an hour. Yesterday, I was on the phone with my teacher and mentor for almost 2 hours, and they gave me the tools that I needed. And there are peaks and valleys, but because of them, and
Mm-hmm.
because of my friends here in Cleveland, and even like another friend who I met and stayed with, the one that's in Santa Cruz, her name is Juco Holiday. She is another woman of color who owns a studio. She has been forthcoming with invaluable information. So she's like, Dawn, if you want to get on a FaceTime call, let's schedule it.
Mm.
And so the women, these are all women of color. Most of them are, no, I take it back. Now, all of them are, the main people are in business by themselves. And then I have my girlfriends. And then, we talk to, and they always cheer me on saying, Dawn, I'm proud of you. You're doing this. They don't understand the journey because they're not
Yep.
full-time entrepreneurs. So it's a little different, but they're there. And then my circle of friend entrepreneurs, my mentors, and my, them, that's it.
And that's so important. And that's the message that I keep sharing over and over and over again, is that you need people in your corner. And that doesn't just mean like as an entrepreneur, like just in general, women need each other. Like there is something magical that happens when we connect and we vibe and support and encourage one another. Like that is just so necessary. And it's the whole reason that I have the Be Free
Yes.
Inner Circle. It's why I have the Be Free meetups, is because I understand sisterhood is something that I value so much. And I have it, like I have my core group of entrepreneur friends, and then I have my friends, and then you fall in both categories. But I have my people, and I don't know what life would be like had I not had people in my corner rooting me on, especially on those days when I feel discouraged. I'm like, what is life? So I'm so glad that you have people from your mentors, and then other people who are in the same space as you when it comes to teaching and practicing yoga, and then also other entrepreneur friends, and then your actual girlfriends. Like I think that is all so important, and that's the same for me. That's what motivates me to keep going. So I love that.
Yeah, there's no way that I could have done this without having people like you. Like I don't know if people realize how much you have helped me in my journey, because I met you one time and you were like, well, have you considered this? And I was like, well, I don't even know. And then you sent me an email that had probably 10 things on it.
I
And I
think
just slowly went through the things. And then you were like, if you want to sit down and meet, just let me know. So because I don't want us to be ever in the space where we feel like we can't share because somebody's
yes.
going to take our money away. There
Right.
is enough out here for all of us, and
Yes.
together we can all win. You
Yes.
share stuff with me, and I've shared it with other people.
Yes.
And if you're not ready, it doesn't matter. You're not going to receive it.
Yep.
You're not going to use the tools that were shared. So because you saw something in me, because you knew that I was genuinely wanting to make my business grow, you were like, I'm going to just give it to you. And
Yeah.
you're like, it's no pressure. There's no pressure.
Yeah. And I wasn't even trying to put you on as no client or anything. I'm like, let me just help because I saw what you were doing, and I can always see the big picture. And when I see people taking action, showing up and doing the work, there's
Yeah.
something that lights up in me, like, go help that person, whatever I could
Mm.
share. And it was really just me like, here's a list of things I think that will be beneficial. Take what you can. If you want to meet, let's
Yep.
do it. And now look at us 2 years later.
Yep. I know. Right.
So I know, right? Right. So what's one thing that you would say that helps you stand out from your peers? And that could be in your personal life and or business.
I would say that I am determined. I am determined. And when I put my mind to it, I don't stop until it's done. So I'm going to research, I'm going to connect, I'm going to train, I'm going to do all the things that I need to in order for it to happen. I am also a manifester because I believe in myself. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't always used to be like that because being in an emotionally destructive relationship, you forget who you are. You're like brought down to a level of, I called it being that stray dog. So the stray dog wants to be loved. The stray dog wants to be petted and fed, but it bites the hand that feeds it because it's been stray and abused. So you have to learn to get beyond that and trust yourself and believe in who you are. And so I have done things to show me that there's power in what I say, because words are powerful. They become things. They're real. And so my determination, my grit. One of my friends, she calls me ride or die because I'm gonna do what I say.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
I believe in being honest and fair and true. My ethics are pretty high. I get upset if I feel like I have let somebody down. And if I say that I don't know, I don't really believe too much in the maybe. It's either yes or no, it's hot or cold, it's black or white. And there are some grays in that. But when I commit to something, and if I can't do it, I'm going to say, I'm sorry, this is why I can't do it. And it's usually something big to keep me from meeting my commitments. So
I love that. Now, what would you say is your biggest fear and how do you overcome it? And I want to talk about that because oftentimes people are so afraid to show up for themselves, and that fear keeps them stagnant from doing anything. So I think it will be great for you to share your fear and how you overcome it to inspire someone else.
so my fear used to be that the whole imposter syndrome.
Mm.
I didn't feel as if people would trust me um, with leading them down this path. And again, that same person who was coaching me at the time, who said to me, either you're going to love being an entrepreneur or you don't, you love it or not. So she had asked me, she said, what is the reason why you're afraid? And I was like, well, at the time I was in my 40s. And she was like, okay. And she said, are you qualified? And I was like, well, what do you mean? She said, well, what are the qualifications in order for you to be a yoga studio business owner? And I was like, well, to have a certified training. And she said, do you have that? And I said, yeah, I was trained by a certified school and I'm registered with Yoga Alliance. And so she said, what else? And I was like, well, I guess, to continue my education, to be vulnerable and willing to adapt. And so she was like, well, since you have all that, then why don't you think you're qualified? And I said, oh, okay. So fear, what is it? False evidence appearing real. That was
Mm-hmm.
the main thing. So right now, the fear is sustainability. I've been open a year, and it's like, oh, can I sustain it? And that's not real either. Of course, I can sustain this.
Yes.
Um, Sometimes changing the strategies, making different connections have to be done. Reinventing yourself, being willing to take feedback. So again, the other one wasn't true. And this one isn't true. Even though sometimes it pops back up,
Mm-hmm.
it
Mm-hmm.
grows a little bigger, and I have to cut its head off. So
And I
that's right.
love how you said, like, you identified two different fears, but then you also realize that they're not true,
Yeah.
right? And that's how you shift the whole energy. Like, you don't allow that fear to grow legs. So yeah, I may have this emotional feeling right now, but this is not the reality. Because the beautiful thing is you've been open for a year. You've been open
Yes,
for a year. You have been in
I
business for a
have.
full year doing this darn thing, you know? So yes,
Yes,
I get like the whole fear, but I just love how you are able to shift that. Like, this is not real. It's not real. And so this is how I can keep moving forward. I love that.
yes.
So my what's one lesson that you learned on your journey to being free?
Um, hmm. To reclaim my power. I think I gave my power away a lot in my 20s, in my 30s, and part of my 40s. When I was 42 is when went through the divorce. I had a list I called 42 things for my 42nd year. And most of those things were to eliminate fear in my life. So afraid of heights, even though I love to travel. I didn't mind getting in an airplane. So I did things like a 50-foot high ropes course. I actually flew a plane. I jumped out of a plane. I did flying trapeze lessons. I went to concerts alone. I went to dinner alone. Um, I started doing things that people told me I couldn't do. And learning that I didn't need other people's approval or their suggestions anymore to be Dawn. And
Mm.
so claiming that back, finding myself again, that was how, yeah, that would have been it.
Oh, that's so good. And I hope the listeners are really paying attention to that. Like, not allowing other people to define you, but you define
Exactly.
yourself, and then doing things that push you out of your comfort zone so that you can become the best version of yourself. Like that, and not allowing life to like take your life away. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, I shared this, and I'm probably going to continue to talk about it, but I did a post recently that said, life is truly a gift. Stop taking it for granted. And
Mm-hmm.
people allow everything to prevent them from showing up for themselves. It's like, why? Like, this is just a temporary thing. Like, yes, divorce is hard. Raising kids on your own is hard. I mean, there's a lot of hard things. But as you say in your yoga classes, I can do hard things. Or
Mm-hmm.
this is not the hardest thing you
Greatest
ever
thing that
had
you
to
can
do.
do. Yep.
Yeah, and I think about that all the time. I'm like, this is not the hardest thing. I've had babies. I've done a lot of things.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
not the hardest thing that I have to do. And I think when you shift your thought process, like, then you can fully show up for yourself. So I love that. So what are you most proud of?
Oh, wow. One thing?
I mean, if you just want to share all of the things, go ahead.
Well, I am proud that I opened up a yoga studio, being
Yes.
pretty sure at this time, especially at the time that this will air, the only person of color, African American, single owner of a yoga studio in Cleveland or the greater Northeastern Ohio area. One of few in the United States. So I'm proud of that because yoga is so white and breaking down the barriers has not been easy. Yoga is a 16 plus billion-dollar industry. And so why not have people of color? We are here. We are here. We
Mhm.
buy the products, we buy the services, we do the online courses, we go on retreats, we, buy the clothes. We are here. We're participating in this industry. So why couldn't I own a piece of it? So that would be the first big thing. The second big thing is I have slowly eliminated material things, certain material things from my life, and being okay with um, being minimal because I used to pride myself on being the stylish librarian. I would take
Mhm.
these selfies. It was like the outfit of the day. I had a lot of jewelry and different scarves and tons of shoes. And when I had to move in with my mom to take care of her, I had to get rid of stuff. And I just recently got rid of more stuff. I was like, well, I don't need these sweaters and skirts and this stuff like
Mhm.
that and these dress pants. That's not my life. And okay with wearing some of the same things over and over again. So I'm proud of not um, being drawn in by material things. And I'm proud of the parenting that I did for my children, because my daughter lives in DC and she's been there for 11 years, went to college and state. She's self-sufficient. She makes great choices. She travels. She has a good friend group. And my son, he's been in LA for 3 months. He sent us a text the other day, like, it's been 3 months. So
Wow.
he drove across America. He and his good friend from college. He drove and he's made his way. He's acting. He works full time at Whole Foods. He has insurance.
Yes.
That's big,
Yes. Yes.
right? So I feel like my kids are a good um, representation of the hard work that I had to do. A lot of it on my own. Their dad is in their life. It's not like he's not there, but a lot of, the parenting I had to do by myself. And so they're okay. They're good.
Mm.
So those are my three things I'm proud of.
And that's what every mother wants, like her kids to be okay, to
Yes.
set that foundation and know that they're going to thrive in the world. So that's beautiful. I love that. So, what advice would you give for someone that's just starting out? And this could be in business or their personal growth journey, because again, this is not just for entrepreneurs, but just in general in life. Like, what advice would you give?
So I've been redefining my meditation practice. And so it's called the Ziva technique. And I don't want to like give her credit because I'm not getting paid for that. But anyway, there's three parts to this meditation. First is mindfulness. And sometimes we mix mindfulness with meditation. So mindfulness is the act of getting present. And so the present is where we have a lot of our anxiety and and we can't rest. So you do breathing exercises. You might uh, do a little bit of songs or whatever. So that is a couple moments to bring you down. And then your meditation is sitting in stillness. Now that does not mean that your brain is turned off, because we can't turn our brain off. It works on its own. And sitting quietly for about 14 to 15 minutes. And then the last couple minutes will be coming out into a manifestation state. So the meditation is to help you get rid of past stressors, things that are trauma in your body experiences. It helps dissipate that. And then your mind is so like creative and active, and the theta waves are going full force. And so now you can see how to manifest your purpose and your dreams. So that will be the path that I would say for everybody is mindfulness, meditation, manifestation. And those are for
Absolutely.
you. And when you do it
Mm,
for you, then you'll realize that your gift is for others.
mm. That's beautiful. I love that. All right. So, what is your favorite affirmation or quote that you live by?
So right now, my affirmation that I decided back in September, right around my birthday, Dawn Timber, was I am light. And
Mhm.
it's trifold. It's light in emotions, light as energy. Like I bring light and energy. I'm a light on a hill. I am, because even in darkness, if you just strike a match, it lights up the whole space. And
Mhm.
then light physically, because sometimes I feel like I'm overweight or I'm heavy, I'm not doing enough. And so physically, I'm light. So that's my affirmation that I've
Mm.
been saying to myself.
And that reminds me of India Irie's song "I Am Light," which I
Yes,
absolutely love. Love, love,
yes,
love that song.
it's a part of that. Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
a part of that. So she inspired me, but I knew that I was feeling heavy emotionally. So I was like, okay, so what's the opposite of heavy? Light.
Hmm. That's good. Look at you, opposites. All right. So, what book would you highly recommend that the Girl Be Free listeners read?
Are you kidding?
I know.
Oh
I
my
know.
gosh.
It's so
One
hard.
book?
If you want to give two, you can.
Oh, two books? That's it?
Right. I know.
Okay. So my go-to that I tell everyone they have to read is You're Badass at Making Money
Oh,
by Jen
yes.
Sincero.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen her twice, and her book changed my whole mindset about making money and the purpose of money. Because I think maybe as people of color, we have been told that money is not good. If you have it, it's a bad thing. Being prosperous is greedy. All these stories around it. And so
Yes.
when I read that book and I did the exercises in it, I was like, oh, I have a whole thing. And somebody who got me to read the book, this was a few years ago now, she said, the way that you talk to money in the relationship that you're in, like with your spouse or your partner or whatever, would that person stay? Then
Mm.
why would money stay? So if you're always talking about you don't have enough and or whatever, about lack and all these things, money's not going to come to you.
Right.
So that You're a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. The second book, golly, I have right in front of me that you can't see. I have 3 yoga books right here, another book over here. It's hard for me to choose one book.
I know. Well, that's fine. If you want to leave it at You Are a Badass
I'll
at
leave it
Making
there.
Money.
I'll leave it
Okay,
there.
that'll work. And then 2 questions that I want to kind of end with that I'm asking every single person I interview. Number 1 is, how do you support other women?
Oh, well, I felt like having the Daybreak Yoga Studio is a way to support other women
Yes.
because with some of my programs, one in particular, I call it Self Care Sunday, which is yoga, journaling, and meditation. I have highlighted women of color who are in different industries and have this like be a platform for them to share their service or their product, as well as their self-care practices. That puts them in front of other women to either buy their service or their product. The other thing is I feel like Daybreak Yoga Studio helps people who want to produce or present an idea and they don't have a place to do it. So I've partnered with several people over the course of the year who have some kind of talent or skill that they want to share. And it's like, well, where else? You either have to rent the space, you got to pay hundreds of dollars to
Yep.
put on a program, you have to have all this extra insurance, you have to have all these things. But I'm like, I'm your girl.
Mm-hmm.
I will partner with you. Here's this space right here. We have 1,100 square feet that you can use to present your idea, your product, or your service. So that's how I feel like one of my purposes to own this space, to have a brick and mortar, is not just for me, but for women in our community.
I love that. And then what does being free mean to you?
Doing whatever I want, when I want, and how I want.
Amen. Amen. Yes. That sums it up perfectly. So let the listeners know what exciting things that you have coming up for Daybreak Yoga, as well as how can we connect with you?
There are tons of great things coming up, but right now the biggest thing is my yoga teacher training, which starts in January 2020. We are having an information session this month. I'm not sure when this will be presented, but we have 3 different information sessions. It's going to talk about what yoga teacher training is, how much it costs, the payment plans, and everything. So if anyone is interested in being a yoga teacher, I feel like my program is different because we're focusing on energy that comes out through our physical practice, through our mental practice, and through our spiritual practice. So that is how like I'm framing my training. So if anybody's interested, they can go to our website, which is daybreak.yoga, not .com, but .yoga. And under teacher training, it has that information. We have tons of special events and programs every month, workshops. Those are also on our website. And we have classes and yeah, every day we have classes. So they can reach me at Dawn at daybreakyoga.llc.com.
And then make sure you share your social media handles where
Oh
they can
yeah.
find you.
So on Instagram, I'm Dawn_M_Rivers. Also daybreak.yoga on Instagram. On Facebook, it's Dawn M. Rivers and daybreak.yoga. So they're pretty much the same.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you on. I cannot wait for everyone to listen to this. And I'm so glad that we were able to meet several years ago and build such a beautiful friendship that we're able to support one another. So thank you.
Yes. My pleasure. My pleasure.
Yes.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yay, my pleasure as well. So until next time, girl, be free.
Hey, Siobhan, this is Samidra Carter, and I am so grateful for the Be Free Inner Circle. I simply joined because I wanted to connect with like-minded women. I'm grateful that I joined. I have no regrets. It has been more than what I thought it would be. One of my favorite parts is waking up in the morning and seeing seeing like a morning motivation, and it gets me motivated for the morning, and I'm able to also connect with the other ladies and see what they have to say and see that everybody has a different view in the Be Free inner circle. Is something that I will encourage many women to join because it has been nothing but great for me. It has done nothing but positivity on this end.